Mouthful that. Murray, buddy. What's going on? Ah, good morning. Let's do it. Lead the way, Murray. Lead the way, Murray. And he's just waiting there to bite someone. Murray! Let's go, buddy. G'day guys, Matt from Hal Heavy Duty. We are the machine shop for a 60-year-old Aussie drilling company located up in central Queensland, and in here we fix all of the gear that drillers break, and we make all of the crazy custom gear that these guys need to get the holes dug. We just crossed 20,000 subscribers, so man, thank you to every single one of you who has liked these videos, watched them, that comments on them. I'm lost for words and very, very grateful, so thank you all so much. And as a bit of a celebration, today's video, we're going to take a look at the largest bit of gear in the shop. This is a Gurutzpe Spanish Megabore Lathe. It's a big green 11-ton machine that we've affectionately come to call the Hulk. Now the Hulk, it actually replaced our previous big white lathe we called Bruce, like the big great white shark. Bruce was pretty much exactly the same as Kurtis's big lathe from Cutting Edge Engineering. I know, because just like you guys, I watch all these videos. And I've got to give a big shout out to those guys as well as we cross the 20,000 mark. Karen and Kurtis have got, in my opinion, probably the best YouTube channel for machining that there is. It's certainly the gold standard for me. But in person, like I haven't met Kurtis in person, but I know Karen, they're just great people. I've called Kurtis a couple of times to ask machining questions and he's been nothing but helpful. And when I decided to launch the channel, Karen gave me some advice that I reckon has pretty much been, you know, one of the main reasons for the success of this channel so far. So huge shout out to those two guys. It's a fellow Aussie machining channel and I really think they set the bar high and I appreciate you guys. So we had our big white lathe, which was a bloody big lathe and a very good machine. But as we took on the MEGADRILL project, so that's where we're taking a 3-meter drill bit, fully constructed in-house, and sending it 250 meters deep. That's 10 feet wide, 800 feet into the earth for underground mining and ventilation shafts. This is way off scale for what we normally do. Most of our holes are just sort of this big. It's not like one that you could drop a car in. And we made the decision, we need a much bigger lathe to be able to handle this because we had to build the rods from scratch and I just knew we're going to need to throw much bigger stuff into a lathe. So we waved bye-bye to Bruce, and when the Hulk turned up, we bought this piece of equipment sight unseen from a very reputable seller down in Melbourne called ESP Machinery Sales. I called a few friends down in Melbourne who run machine shops and said, have you heard of these guys? Are they any good? And they came back to me with like, no, they're about the best reseller. They've been around for as long as we have, 60 years, I think the exact same year, and they have been so good to deal with this machine. So it was one of those things where you buy a piece of equipment secondhand, sight unseen, and you kind of hold your breath. But once it turned up and once we fired it up, it was like, man, we really lucked out with this thing. And if there was like an equipment could win Employee of the Year, Hal's done a great job, but the award goes to the Hulk. So when this thing turned up, my first thought was, I've made a terrible mistake. This thing is massive because it's basically twice the size of our previous big lathe. And then when we got it into the shed and I mean just, we fired it up and Heath, our main machinist on the Hulk, who is a very, very skilled operator, I said, mate, go through and test it at all the ranges, start at the lowest gear to the highest gear, test everything on it because if there's something wrong, I need to know right now. So I went and did that. And the big boss, my father, was walking past just as he hit the go button on 400 RPM, which is the top speed. And it was like the roof was about to come off the shed. It sounds like a howitzer or a 747 taking off. Even the look on his face was like, what has my son gone and bought? That said, now, after nearly 6 months, 8 months of operating it, we look at it and go, we've just maxed it out. Like, I'm going to show you 5 things that we use the Hulk for. I'll give you an overview of the machine and show you how it works and some of the add-ons that we've done to it. But then I'll show you 5 of the projects that we've thrown into the Hulk that really give a detailed overview of what we use it for. And the last one of those, which we just did yesterday, we've maxed out the bore, and we've also just about maxed out the swing. So our thoughts now are, we're probably going to need a bigger Hulk. On the scale of big lathes and megabores, the megabore just refers to how big the spindle bore is. So this one has a 320 mil spindle bore, and on the scale of megabores, it's relatively small. It's somewhere in the mid-size. So the Hulk is actually not necessarily, in machining world, what you would call a big lathe. Like, it is big, it's freaking massive for us, but some of the machines out there you can't even fit in our shed. So that's one of the beautiful parts about the machining business, is it's everything from jeweler's lathes that you need a pair of tweezers to operate, right up to machines that you can sit on the carriage and ride it like a train. Like, there's some big stuff out there. So we're somewhere in the middle. The Hulk, it has near unlimited power. I don't know how much horsepower or kilowatts it actually has, but we've yet to even make it cough. And we've put 10 mil cuts on this thing. I've run 130 mil HTS drill in it, which you'll see in a sec, that the big CNC cannot do. Like, it just maxed out spindle, maxed out Z. We threw it in the Hulk and it didn't even draw 5 amps. So the power on this thing is like, the more you throw in it, it just makes it angry, and then it just cuts even better. So we just love this bit of gear. So I hope you enjoy this. The commentary wise, I'm not going to speak a lot through the machining side of it because they're fairly simple projects. The thing to appreciate is just the scale.
Whoa, gentle, gentle, gentle. Yep. A little bit of feet in place.
So the Hulk has 3 chucks. It has 2 4-jaw chucks and a self-centralizing 3-jaw. They range between 28 to 32 inches, and each of them weighs between 300 and 400 kilos, or 700 to 1,000 pounds. So there's a fair bit of weight that's spinning when this guy's in full gear. As far as the operation of the Hulk goes, though, it's very, very similar to just a small conventional lathe. Like, all of the manual controls pretty much mirror what you would find if you're operating just a normal size lathe like our little LA here. The one major difference, though, is that the Hulk, because it's 30 years old, it doesn't have your automatic levers there that you can just, select what thread pitch you want. So in the Hulk, it's a little bit more backward, where it actually has a big set of gears in the back where you have to manually get in and change them. So it is a bit of a pain in the butt, but we get around it. It takes about 10 minutes to set up, and if you've got a 2 TPI thread, you have to set the gears a certain way. But once you get used to it, it's no dramas. It's got 2 gauges on it. One is an oil pressure meter. The other one is an amp meter. So that will just let you know if it spikes up that you have broken a tip usually, especially when you're trepanning. We also have fitted a high volume coolant tank full of the delicious pink lemonade. This forbidden stuff, often referred to as Pink Panther juice, is called Hole Maker from ITM. We pump it around using just a high volume, not high pressure, high volume pump, because when we're trepanning, we need as much of the coolant or cutting fluid as humanly possible. So Hole Maker, the stuff we use, the pink stuff, it's really good for 4140. We haven't noticed any decrease in tool life since we swapped from using a lot of the sort of white cutting fluids you see. This stuff, really good part about it is it doesn't separate. To minimize the coolant spraying all over CNC land to your right there, we actually had the guys over in the fab shop make us a splash guard, which a lot of the modern lathes come with anyway, but this thing's really good because you can wheel it in and out and it just stops the huge mess that can often come from these big machines. Right, so the first thing that we use this machine for, and this is like all the time, is just ripping into steel. So we can take an 8mm cut with this CNMG tip. The Hulk doesn't even seem to notice that it's happening, but when we've got to do a lot of material removal, like high metal removal, the Hulk's the way to go. The second thing we do a lot of in the Hulk is threading, whether that's cutting new threads, reworking threads. The Hulk can do all of your imperial and metric standard threads, and the good thing is we actually use this to do rods because we could stuff them right up the bore of it. So it's a really useful tool for threading.
Oh, we're at
6.9.
The third thing the Hulk gets used for a lot is trepanning. So we have a shop-made trepanning tool that can go to about a depth of 350mm, or so just over a foot. And the good thing about this is you get to keep the slug and it's very quick. So the Hulk here, that's why we had to fit that coolant tank, but we use this very, very regularly. And this is where the amp meter is really useful, because if it starts drawing power, it's busted a tip. For the odd case where we can't trepan because it's too long, that's where we whip out the HTS drill. So we've got a 130mm HTS drill that is specifically set up for this lathe, and this thing is awesome. It's too big to run in the CNC, we don't have the power, but the Hulk, no dramas at all. It barely pulls any amps. Fourth thing we use the Hulk for is deep boring. So with our shop-made boring bar, tiny, which weighs 70 kilos or about 150 pounds, this thing has 600 plus mil of working length, so about 2 feet. And for anything that's really big and needs to be bored out, we drill it out with the HTS drill, and then we send in tiny. Last thing that we use the Hulk for is literally anything and everything massive that rocks up on the door that's got to be taken care of. This one, which rocked up on Monday morning because they've been working on Saturday over in the boiler bay, this enormous flange, 3 feet in diameter, just over a meter, it needs to be cleaned up. So we're going to stuff that up the guts of the Hulk, which is going to just fit in the Megabore. We'll have 1 mil of clearance, but this is the sort of stuff that we're just regularly throwing into the Hulk, and why I'm so glad we got this thing, because it's just a mega time saver. So this maxed out the bore. We could just squeeze it in, and we were about 100 mil or about 4 inches off maxing out the swing. A bloody mouthful, that. Come on, Willie, bloody hell. Plenty of room.
and then make sure you zero the Z, and then I want you to
biggest challenge with machining heavy duty stuff is not necessarily the machining, it's getting it in and out of the machine. Sometimes you've got to get a bit creative, but we get there.
go down a bit.
Very happy with how that cleaned up. So this flange bolts onto the MEGADRILL, and the other end of it that you can see there is where the rods screw into. So between that, the centralizers and the bit, you're looking at 18 tons, seriously big stuff that's going to go 1/4 of a kilometre deep, and it's 3 meters wide. Well, this one's actually 2.7. This is still only the second largest we're constructing, but we're putting in all of the reinforcements and putting the outer shroud on in the fab shop now, and these guys have been hard at it, and it's been bloody hot in Australia the last week. We get very creative in the shop. So over in the boiler bay, they have had to extend the size of one of these centralizers. It just wasn't quite big enough. So using our old wobbly crane, they've loaded it into a very ad hoc setup. We actually welded the press onto this and then have had to just extend the size a little bit. So you got to do what you got to do. Mate, you need a bath. What is that? What have you been rolling in? Huh? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little spotlight on the Hulk. I think bang for your bucks, that machine's been an absolute winner. And when it comes to buying secondhand equipment, sometimes you luck out and sometimes your luck runs out. So I think we just lucked out that time. My question for you is this though, we are going to be looking at upgrading some of the equipment in here. So if you're a machinist or you're in the sort of machining game, what sort of equipment do you run and would you recommend it? Like what machines do you work on? Because I know there's so many different brands out there, so many different types of machines. I would love to know what it is that you're working on. Anyway, that's it from me this week. Guys, I appreciate you. And again, thanks for all of your help in liking the videos, commenting. If you're brand new and you want to see more heavy duty content, be sure to subscribe and let me know where you're tuned in from. Because it's you guys that have made this channel. Like I just pop a video up each week, but it's all of the fact that you guys get in there and comment and like and share and everything that you do that makes it all happen. So that's it from me. I will see you in the comments and I'll see you on the next one. just a unit, mate. Come here. Huh? Murray. Well, anyway. Murray, come here, bud. Oh! Murray. You big wolf. Oh! Murray, Jesus! God! Mate! Ah! You fucking mad dog.